Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to the City of Douglas Mayor Commission. This will serve as the work session for October 23rd, 2023. And as always, we'll turn it over to that West Green, Pittsburgh, still loving Charlie Davis.
Yes, sir. Appreciate
How you
you, Mayor
doing?
and Council, doing well. Hope y'all had a good weekend. We'll start off with item 1, found on page 4, review of the October 9th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Mr. Gowan,
I'm good with it.
consent.
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 Mr. Taylor,
Consent.
good deal. Next item.
Next item is item 2, found on page 11, discuss the Keep Douglas Beautiful program and accept a donation from First National Bank of Coffee County, Georgia. Roger.
I'll start it off. This is just give you some updates about the Keep Douglas Beautiful Committee. Also, Christian McHale, she'll be coming up to give you some more information that's going on. With the Keep Douglas Beautiful Committee, they've been pretty busy doing several projects, such as they had, the Great American Cleanup. They got the Tire Amnesty and the Parks Beautification events, such as the Jackie Allen Park. They went over there and repainted the shelter and planted the fruit trees for the community. They plan on, in 2024, working with the Madison Avenue Park or have worked on it and doing pressure washing of the shelter and removing graffiti and litter around the pond. And also they have received some donations from First National Bank, Coffee County, to purchase the mascot uniform. So, and First National Bank is here to where we can accept the donations for it.
Okay.
So, you want to come and accept the donations? Or they?
Mr. Jones, you just on to. Okay. The minutes went on the consent. You okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Somebody gonna say anything? We're good?
Do y'all want to do the photo op now, or you want us to wait till y'all finish the item?
We're gonna take an action on that to accept,
Yeah.
huh? Okay, so we're gonna accept some money. Mr. Durham, are you okay with that? Mr. Gower?
Okay.
Mr. McNeil?
Yes,
Mr. Bailey?
Consent.
So we're gonna put that on the consent, and we'll do a photo op when we get there, okay? Next item?
Next item is item 3, found on page 15. And just for those, I'm sure all y'all know, Georgia Henderson's mother passed away, so that's the reason she's not here, and so Roger will be handling all her stuff. I also sent y'all an email and a text with the arrangements for this Saturday for her mother's funeral there in St. George, and just want to remind everybody, hearts and prayers go out to her recent loss there. Item 3, discuss the award for the Douglas Historic Preservation Design Guidelines. Roger.
Good evening again. With the historic preservation, there's a fund grant that's out there that they need to apply for, and it's to update the guidelines. There was a bid that was sent out for companies who do the surveying and do the evaluations and such, and the bid was opened up in JMT Incorporated. They scored a 94 and was the highest over any other firm. And it's the recommendation that the city award the grant funding to the JMT Incorporated Consultants for the Historic Preservation Design Guidelines. There's a $15,000 share that comes in from the feds and a $10,000 local match, with a minimum cost of $25,000 on this, so we request that y'all award that bid to them.
Okay. Mr. Taylor?
Consent.
Mr. Bailey?
Consent.
Ms. McNeil?
Consent.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I'm fine with consent.
Consent. Mr. Gower? Consent. Mr. Durham?
Consent.
Good deal. Next item?
All right, next be item 4, found on page 51. Discuss the appeal by First Baptist Church to demolition 617 East Ward Street. Roger Goddard.
And this is in reference to the old school board building that's on East Ward Street. In September, First Baptist Church appeared for the Historic Preservation Committee to request permission to demolish the structure. The HPC committee denied that request, and since then, the First Baptist Church has issued notice of letter to the HPC for the decision to appeal to you, this commission. And First Baptist Church would like to purchase the property from the school board, but only with the intent to demolish the building. And therefore, since it was denied by the HPC, it comes before y'all. And the recommendation from the city is just either y'all approve or deny the request of the appeal for the First Baptist Church to go ahead and demolish the building. Randall Parker, the building inspector, is here. If y'all have any questions about his opinion of the condition of the building. Also, if you see in some of your attachments, there was some stuff, quote basically given out to do renovations for that building. It's been over $2 million and $2,509,000 for renovations in the building. There was another one for over $2,847,000. They would like y'all to hear or have the appeal on the situation, see if y'all would allow them to demolish or not.
Okay. Do we need to hear, anybody want to hear from Mr. Parker before? Anyone?
Well, so I have a question. Okay, so First Baptist Church wants to demolish it.
Correct.
They want to purchase it and demolish it.
Purchase it and demolish it. Thank you for that correction. And the school board's position is what?
Well, the sale, my understanding might be contingent on whether they can demolish it or what they can do with it. You know, the condition of the building is in fairly poor shape. You know, there's in your packet, you can see some pictures that's in there of some of the infrastructures there. Because they required to, because it's in the historic area, they had to take it to the HPC to get them a COA to demolish it.
Okay.
But the HPC recommended they did not demolish it. And, you know, so they're actually appealing the HPC's position, you know, to y'all to go ahead and let y'all override the HPC's.
Okay, so do we have, what is the school board position? What are they actually
They
saying?
want to sell it, actually sell the whole building, you know. Yeah,
They're wanting to sell the building to First Baptist. First Baptist is wanting to buy it and tear it down, but the sale is contingent upon the board and the mayor and commission approving to override HPC's decision to not tear it down.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And school board's here, the First Baptist here, and HPC's here if you have any questions directly for them.
HBC.
I would like to hear from Mr. Parker. I want to know what he thinks.
Is anybody in the building right now?
No. When was the last time someone was in the building?
It's
been
been
years.
A few years ago, the Child Advocacy Center was in there.
How many years? 4?
3.
3? 3, 4?
And,
Okay.
and they always complained on highlight utility bills and stuff like that, man.
Okay.
Basically, the building is old. It does have a basement under it, and the last time I was there, it was full of water. The basement was like a swimming pool. I think it's been drained since then, but I haven't been back to go check to see what kind of mold condition or if it's full of water again. But, my opinion, it could be salvaged if you had enough money. It's not gonna be done economically.
Okay. Good deal. Thank you.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Y'all two through? Okay. Who's here from the historic
Preservation.
preservation? I am, sir. Okay, you don't mind stepping up, Mr. Cunningham? I just wanted to know why, because I always hear the the historic preservation, and every time they bring something before us, you know, I always hear them out. But I just want to know, why did they deny the request?
The Douglas Hospital building was built in 1935. It's an iconic structure. It's very much about the fabric of the history of this community. It was built on donated land, built by the city of Douglas. Mayor Lonnie Pope was mayor in 1935. You would know some of the members of the commission then, W.S. Connor and Francis Stubbs and others, but it was a community effort, and served as the hospital for over 2 decades. Right after World War II, very quickly started running out of room, and the county and city had an opportunity to go together on apply for the Hill-Burton grant. Following the decades of service as a hospital, it served for decades for the local library, and then later the Board of Education, and then various things with the Board of Education. But the Historic Preservation Commission requests that you honor its decision. It was a unanimous decision looking at the historic value of the structure, not at the practicality of being used as a structure for a church or a business or a residence. That was not the goal. The goal was to look at the appropriateness of demolishing a historic structure. While I'm here, and I'll sit down, we were deeply saddened that the Historic Preservation Commission was overturned on September 9th with relation to the Douglas Women's Club, another iconic structure in this community. The owner of that property is the city of Douglas. But thanks for the opportunity to speak. I appreciate all of your service, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you had for me, but I'm very respectful of your time.
I have a question. I have a question. You have something?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just got one question. If you decide to keep the building, you know, what would you do with, you know, what is the plans for it, for the future of the building? Business in the shape that it's in now.
I don't have a
Board of Education.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a plan for the structure. I think the facility, in my view, is more structurally sound than would be represented by those pictures you've seen. I've walked the thing. Obviously, plumbing's gone, electric's gone, but the structure's in better shape than those photographs would reveal, in my layman's opinion. I mean, but the merit of the structure is its historic significance, in my view. As far as having a plan to bring to the school board, no, y'all don't do this because we need to have this structure, or the Baptist church, this would be the highest and best use of that. I don't have a recommendation.
Well, my question was basically the same, that the building is set vacant for 3 or 4 years, and you're saying that your decision as a committee is just based on the historical value, correct?
That's right. The
Nope.
historic value of the structure. There'd be very few historic structures in the United States standing if the standard would be, could this be replaced for less money, or if it all comes down to economics, and economics is extremely important. I mean, we're talking significant dollars here, whether it's public or private or combination. But the Historic Preservation Commission is charged with preserving the community's history.
Right.
And this just seems to be one of those iconic values.
So let me ask you this right here. So the historic committee is just on historic value. So I rode past there today, just out of curiosity. Do we, as a community, add value to it when it's in that state? Just to say, okay, I give you for an example. Later on in the agenda, there's a request to tear down some houses. there's a family house, and not in this right here, just using it as an example. Nobody's lived in it in 30 years. It's falling down, the roof is caving in, but it has historic value. Do we allow those structures to continue to stand because it has historic value to that family? When it's an unsafe building, it doesn't have a purpose anymore except for that's Mima's house. And I think that, I don't know, my concern is, I understand historic value. God knows I do. Are we doing a disservice by not having the funds to renovate it, to repurpose it? I mean, because like you said, it comes down to economics. $2 million, $2.5, $2.6 million to repurpose the building. And then what?
Don't have a tenant.
I got a quick, who owns the building now? The county?
School board.
School board.
County. So it wouldn't cost us, it's still trying to sell, it wouldn't
Correct.
cost us. But through the, historic preservation, is there any grants that if they would keep it, is there any grants out there that they can apply for to help fix it up? I mean, there's grants out there for historic preservation. So have they looked into any of the grants to see if they can save this as, are there, I just wanna know, I wanna know the full scope of it because I know you may not know, but I'm just saying, I wish, on behalf of the
Seeking
city.
grants is not the purview of the Historic Preservation Commission, although that's something we would certainly enthusiastically support.
Mayor, could I ask,
Hold on.
School
You done?
board.
Mr. Dern,
Mhm.
are you complete?
Yeah, I was just trying to see like if they was to keep the building, without tearing it down, would it be chances of they can apply for stuff to help fix up the things that they need to bring it up to a, feasible thing to where it can stand if it was, instead of, falling apart, plumbing and all that stuff like that. Is there something there to help them along the way? That's all I was asking and concerned.
Everybody realized it'd be an extremely heavy lift. No doubt about it. The question for us was, does it have extraordinary value? And the answer to that for us was yes.
Mr. Taylor? Mr. Taylor?
I would just like to get an input from Mr. Lee Morris on the building. Bids that belong to the school board,
Before Dr. Lees come, so, a question for Ms. Cottingham. So, who gave the dollar amount as to what it would cost to get this up to par?
I understand, Mr. Day is here, I understand these are some bids that the Baptist Church solicited on their own volition, on their own dime. They secured the estimates of what it would do to bring the place up to speed to be in a usable format. Is that correct, John?
Yes, for the purpose of the building, long-term in the future, what we would need it for, Charlie was trying to hold on to.
So you only just got that one estimate from them? Okay, thank you.
And this hospital is the one that was used in Douglas prior to the construction of the one on West Ward in 1954?
That's right. That's right.
The one that was destroyed so we could build the hospital we have right now?
That's right. That's right. Yep. It's an interesting story about community growth. It was tight on space soon after it was built, and it was expanded, and rooms were doubled up, and patients were seen in the hallways. Quite a story.
And I can see what you're saying, and I can see your heart, dear to your heart about that building, because that's just like even, going to the 9th grade academy, that building over there, cause it's probably gonna come up, cause I seen something about it with the school, about, about a new school or whatever. But that first building is historic too.
Right.
Cause that, I think that was our great-grandfather, Billy Paul, that donated that land, that building land over there on Gaston.
Well, I know he donated it for Paul School.
Right, for Paul School. So
He
that's.
donated property in Ambrose for
Mhm.
the Rosenwald
Right,
School
yeah.
there, and this is a sister Rosenwald School here,
Right.
Right,
Correct.
Coffee Camp.
so,
All right,
okay.
thank you.
Mr. Taylor?
And thank you, Commissioner Taylor, for allowing.
Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
My concern about bids that belong to the school board, and my question is that if the board decide to keep it, how would the school board be able to help out if they can help out, you know? Y'all don't put it on the back burner or what, you know?
Well, the history, since I've been involved here, was about 7 or 8 years ago, we did a sealed bid on it and advertised it publicly, and I think we had somebody offer maybe $10,000 for the building. And so at that time, we just declined that offer because we were expecting maybe to bring a little bit more. And so then we reached a point where we're no longer using the building, but we are maintaining the exterior. We try to keep the shrubs cut back and keep the grass cut and, you know, maintain it so that it's not a sore eye for the community, you know, but we're basically using it as a warehouse with storage and putting items in there that we need to store. So we've reached a point where we really don't need the building anymore, and we can't house students in it, and it's really not feasible for an office for use by the district. So at this point, we decided to put it back up for sealed bid. And I think we had heard that there may be some interest from First Baptist for expansion one day to maybe be able to come in back in that area with either a school or maybe even a new sanctuary at some point addition. I don't want to speak for them, but I just have been made aware that they might have a need for the property. So we put it back up for sealed bid and let it sit out the number of days it's supposed to sit out. And the only bid that we had submitted was from the First Baptist group. And I think it was $30,000 is what they bid. And so the board felt like that was a legitimate, fair amount to take. And so the board voted to accept the bid from First Baptist and sell the property to them.
And that was contingent upon the demolition, correct?
That's right. There's not been a close yet, but as far as we're concerned, First Baptist, they put in a reasonable bid and wanted to buy the property, so we're willing to sell the property to them.
Thank you, Marcia.
All right.
Anybody else have any questions?
You don't, okay, I have some. Commissioner McNeil, you were saying?
No, go ahead, I'm sorry, I was just thanking for his comments.
Okay. I'd just like to say, when it comes to historical value, I'm very sensitive to such. You know, that might have something to do with one's educational background, so forth and so on. But I do know that the airport out there where we have those buildings out there that's now being used for World War II museum, that's sentimental to me. I attended Head Start out there, not that I fully remember it, but I have a vague memory about it. And so when the city got ready to try to, you know, refurbish those buildings, that meant a lot to me because I'm just a historic person. So I like the idea that we have that historical base out there at the airport. I like the idea when he's saying to us, Mr. Cottingham is saying to us that that was our first hospital in the 30s. That means a lot. That has sentimental value. What Commissioner Durham mentioned about the George Washington Carver School and the now J.D. Murray Gymnasium, I attended elementary school, 1st through 3rd grade there at the George Washington Carver High and Elementary School. So, yeah, I definitely did not want to see that school demolished, and don't want to see the gym torn down or any of that. So I wish that what we could do is look into it a little bit more. Maybe the school board could look into it a little more. I know it's a costly thing, $2.5 million, but then that's only from one vendor. But if there's some type of historical grant funding that could be received to help to get it up to par and make it more beautiful for the community, before I would like to rescind, you know, just saying, hey, let's tear it down. I'd like to see some other options explored first. That's my position on it. Because, you know, we might not realize it, but history means a lot to us. And, you know, there's some people here still living who were in the 30s here, you know, they're elder. But that means a lot to know if somebody's still living that was actually born there or went there. That means a lot to me, to have citizens who can relate to such as that. So I'm not personally in favor of, you know, overturning what the HPC has decided. That's just my personal take about it. Thank you.
Good deal. So, this is my position. The historic value, I understand that. Letting it stay in the same condition, I think that's disrespectful to everybody that was there. I just really do. The Board of Education, another governing body that actually owns that building, they voted to sell that building with the hopes that First Baptist will purchase it in the future, demolish it, and repurpose that area. And I'm sort of at conflict because the city is over the historic board, and they say, well, you own the building, but you can't tear it down. You own the building, but you can't do what you want to do with it. I'm at a conflict of that.
Well,
Go ahead.
Can I send a rebuttal to that? I mean, that will apply to anything else that with the historic preservation. Even when it came down to the coloring of the homes, what we just brought before us.
Right.
Even with that, even with the metal, what it is, the roofs that was brought before us, that came before us, we didn't turn that down. So I mean, is we gonna stick with what they say, or don't stick with what they say? I mean, we honor one thing, but then don't honor the other. So I mean, so why have a committee if you ain't gonna honor what they say?
Well, my thing is this right here. I think everything is a case-by-case basis. So we just can't have a blanket approach to everything. We can't say that every historical building still needs to be standing. If that's true, then we wouldn't have any growth, any buildings whatsoever, because everything at some point is historic. My position is, I think that the Board of Education owns it. They voted to sell it, and I don't see our governing body stepping in to overrule another governing body. But that's my position. So let's see what we're gonna do. And
I'd like
go ahead.
to add something to what Commissioner Durham has just stated. So then it becomes, I think, a discussion as to, are we going to keep our Historic Preservation Commission or committee? Or, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because like he just said, the people who we're saying, and the businesses who have to paint their buildings a certain color, do a certain roof, they own that.
Correct.
And that was what I was saying then. But now, to me, something that was a former hospital weighs in more and carries more weight, I think, than individual homes, because there is a home right around the corner from me, and it's actually falling in. That wouldn't require the HPC to make a decision on, because we have our code enforcement to handle that. So when you make the example about a home that needs to be torn down, that's a different category. That fits in a different category than when we're talking about a hospital that was built in the 1930s or businesses that were built in the 1930s and are within our historic district area. So
I agree absolutely with what you're saying, as far as a hospital versus a home. I was just using that as a parallelism. So I think we've discussed it enough. Let's see what we're gonna decide here. Mr. Dern, what do you say? Say again?
Take it before the lights.
Okay. Mr. Gowan, have you said anything at all?
Yeah, I asked about what's going on, you know, the difference with the hospital that many of us in Coffee County were born in that's been demolished. I can say I've been in that building, probably several of y'all in this room have been in the building, and it is, it's in deplorable shape. I'm interested with the proposal for First Baptist to take over the property. You know, as I think about the conditions in our community, I see an opportunity for one of our churches who's doing good work in our community to continue to build on that work. You know, as opposed to if we don't allow, if this building is allowed to stand, then the next question in my mind is, when is the next opportunity for that building to be of use to anybody? When is it going to be, you know, converted to the use that we need right now? And I love history. You know, I'm a history buff. As I look at the pictures of the structure, wow, and it's been let go tremendously, you know. And this is the basement that I've never been in myself. Just in the upstairs is, I know, if y'all been in there, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of scary, you know. It seemed like the roof was falling in. If you look at the building, it looks like it's been renovated, sometime in the 80s. They put stuff on the outside of it, put some kind of metal roof on it. You know, that's kind of where I sit on it. I'd like to see the best use of the property. You know, I mean, if somebody could sit here and say, we've got great plans and the ability to renovate this structure and make it of use to the community that will help meet our needs right now, that's what I would lean toward.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
I'd just like to say, in addition to everything I've already said, I'd just like to say to the council, and I'd be okay however it goes, but how many buildings do we have here in the city of Douglas that's still around that's since the 1930s? But just keep in mind now, we heard from the gentleman who said that they only had one vendor to give a price of an estimate, and don't none of you go out and get one estimate when you get work done on your house? I mean, I'm a woman, and I definitely don't just get one. I get about 3 or 4, something I can compare something to. So we don't even know if that would be the actual price. But, you know, like I say, either way, I understand wanting to, the aesthetic purposes of it, but we haven't heard from from First Baptist when they would make the changes and so forth and so on. But those are my thoughts.
Okay, so while y'all were talking, I go back to the Board of Education in my mind about it's their building, they voted to sell it. Dr. Lees, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Do you feel, and I will not hold you to this, that your board, since they voted to sell it, that they're willing to invest any money in it to repurpose that building?
No, sir. The intentions are to put the money into new construction, much like this new construction that
Energy
is
efficient.
feasible for classrooms and such.
Okay, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm
Yes,
just
sir.
curious.
Yeah, I mean, the practical part of it is today's uses, you know, we have to have it wired for the internet and
Yes.
modern electronics and all those things.
Representatives from First Baptist, the estimate that you received was on First Baptist dime, correct?
Yes, I'll speak to this, and I'm not trying to shortcome what Dr. Cottingham and the Historical Preservation Committee does. I know I'm like you guys, I know the slippery slope between preservation and feasibility. And the estimate we have is to reconfigure that building into the same like model as our church currently is. We're not interested in going in there and doing slight modifications to make it look pretty. We're interested in making a building that's in very similar shape to what we currently have. So that's why it's high. I mean, you could go in there with $900,000 and probably come up with a suitable structure. Not a suitable structure for what we would ever need. We as a church, and I'm on a specific committee within the church that is charged with the growth of our church. And our church is very landlocked with structures. And if the church experiences a tremendous revival in the next 30 years, we have a problem. So we're evaluating all property within a block of our church. That particular building sits on 9/10 of an acre. And it is a large building that is on a very nice road. We also have a very good problem within our church of a growing school. The attendance has increased by about 100 children in the last 5 years, and we are quickly running out of room within our facility to house those children. So we're evaluating all options. As far as the historical nature, my father was born in that hospital, so I know it very well. It is a neat building to walk around. It is not a building that could be renovated to anything of our standards if we were to put a school in that building, and specifically children in that building.
Okay.
So that's kind of where the estimate came from, and that's where our position is on this.
Thank you.
What's your name, sir?
John Day.
Dave?
Day, yes, ma'am.
Good deal.
What the estimates for demolition?
You go to First Baptist. I'm just saying, just out of professional courtesy, there's a conflict here, so, no.
Yeah, okay, come back in.
Because I didn't think you were gonna say anything, I was gonna ask you to leave. I was gonna ask you to leave.
I was gonna ask a question to everybody, but I'll.
No.
Can't say nothing.
I'll rephrase that question, or not your question specifically, but if I read this correctly, you guys got quotes for demolition. So you would be, for demolishing it, you could have a considerable sum of money involved there. So I would say that you've weighed the options, right? Am I not?
We have, and to be fair, I mean, if that building were usable, it's worth a lot more than $35,000, which I believe is the bid that we presented. We have been giving a quote for demolition, and it is $100,000 to demolish the building. And that is to raise the building and to make it a grassy structure. Our worst fear as a Coffee County taxpayer, and they are the truth, that basement may very well be dry now. It is my understanding after talking with the head of operations of the school system that there's a sump pump there. Sump pumps quit working. And when it rains, that building becomes entirely inundated in the basement. And we all know how resourceful children are, and there's a lot of children in that neighborhood. Some child falls down those steps, it's going to be hard to get out. I'm just telling you. When we went to visit it the first time, it was after a hard rain, and the water came up to below the building. The building is very neat, and it's got history. If you walk through it with somebody who understands construction, they can point out to you where the operating room was in the hospital, just from looking at the construction. But again, if somebody were to want the building, they'd have to have a specific purpose for it, and then have the money to reclaim it. So, and the position of First Baptist Church is, we love the building, but it's not the building we'd be after. And that's just, and that's why the bid was made in the manner it was made.
Okay,
Yeah.
good deal.
I'd like to speak in such a way that I look at any challenge like this as how can it be a win-win for everybody here? I say, Dr. Cottingham, in every way we possibly can, let's preserve the history. We may not be able to preserve the structure in many, many cases. And I've been to so many cities, Americus, Thomasville, that are well known around the country, Charleston, South Carolina, so many places, Savannah, Georgia, that know and define and do a great job of historical preservation, historic preservation. And so I've gotten, neck deep in that kind of thing, and I totally appreciate the value of that. I do believe, and I went there, as a child to the library there. But I think that this can be a win-win for everyone here because we have people who are passionate about keeping the history of this hospital or of this facility in its former state. And we can't renew it. We can't take it back. So either way, whether we demolish one room at a time or the entire building, the building, as we know it, is going to go away. And that's hard for all of us to, I won't say it's like a death, but in essence, it sort of is. It's like it's hard to swallow. But I want a win-win here. And I can appreciate what First Baptist is trying to do. We've done it at First Methodist, and we understand, Jonathan, the idea there and the growth and what it could be to our community. So I can appreciate what you guys are trying to do too. Both of you, thank you.
Mr. Taylor?
Mayor, I got 4 things I would like to say. We had the code enforcement to come up, and they gave their analysis on it. I agree with them. Another thing was the school is not interested in it. It belongs to them. I agree with them. I understand Mr. Cottingham with the people that he represents. I can understand it, but they doesn't have any funds that they know of. And just looking at these pictures and things, with the school not interested in it, I don't see it. As far as the church itself, I believe in growth. And if the First Baptist can do something for its growth and all, I'm all in for First Baptist.
All right, we're going to take that one forward.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
Can I say something, Mayor? I went out to talk, to call one of the members of the historic preservation, and I valued their opinion real good. And they were saying why do they go to this conference, that conference, and these trainings, and then their point of view is overturned. They're saying for us, the recommendation was to vote not for it. And at the end of the day, like, we go to conferences and they talk about grants and stuff dealing with historical value and buildings. We go there, but they were saying about, that it's as if we wouldn't value their opinion. And why do they go to this conference? Why do they meet on this? Why do they meet on that? It would be no need for a historic preservation if you don't honor some of the things that they say and stuff like that. So I value their opinion and stuff, and so that's why I gave them a call. And I can't say it's not funds or that's not out there because, it is funds out there, but you just have to apply for them and search for them, but that's it.
Okay, we're going to take that one before the lights and vote on it. When we bring that up, you need to state your conflict of interest, okay? For the record.
Sure.
Okay. Mr. City Manager?
Next item's item 6, found on page 73. Item 5, found on page 71. Discuss upcoming zoning variance request. This is a no action item tonight. This is just for, you have a couple discussions. One's on a pub situation as defined by our code, what a pub is, and then what the request is going to be. Also, too, we've got the upcoming cannabis variance request that is allowed by state law, but there's some rules that we have to do within the city structure. So just wanted y'all to discuss that before we bring it on the next commission meeting, and that'll be Roger Goddard discussing those requests.
As city manager stated, we've had several variance requests to come in and dealing with the zoning rules and regulations. One of the first ones is dealing with the School Axe Throwing, which is right across the street.
Is the what now? I'm sorry.
School axe throwing.
There's an axe throwing business over there. Going into an axe at the wall.
I didn't even know we had that. Okay,
That's a
continue.
new fad that's come out in, a lot of cities. They have made application to, or is in the process of finishing their application for an alcoholic beverage license. They're located in the town center zoning district. Only way to qualify for an alcoholic beverage license in the town center zoning district is one, be a restaurant. Two would be a pub, and the other one would be a special event facility. They were requested that they be a pub, but one of the drawbacks from being a pub, you got to be 1,200 square feet, no larger. Their building is right at 1,900 square feet. So they're gonna come forward and ask for a variance on the size limitations to, to be classified as a pub, so they can, finish and comply with the ordinance with the alcoholic beverage license requirements in the town center zoning district. In regards to the marijuana dispensary, state law says a marijuana dispensary cannot be within 1,000 feet of a school, church, or a covered entity such as maybe a daycare center that meets certain guidelines and questions. And when we speak of a marijuana dispensary, it's not just like, in Colorado where you go out and you buy the marijuana and leaf form. This is actually marijuana that is grown and harvested, and the oils are extracted out of the marijuana leaf. So you're not actually getting the marijuana leaf, because you can't, within the state law, to be a marijuana dispensary, and it's for medical purposes only, and there's only 17, 18, diagnoses that you can qualify to, receive the medical marijuana card, which would be issued by the Department of Health. But with this, it had to be, dispensed from a local pharmacy. The state law says that they can't be within 1,000 feet of a school, churches such as that, but the state also grants the power to the cities and counties to use their zoning authority to grant variances for that. The way, in Douglas, the pharmacies are here, it'd be very hard to find a location where you're not 1,000 feet within a church or school or like a daycare center. So that variance request is gonna be coming to you from 2 different pharmacies here in the near future. So we just wanted to give you a, for information, heads up where you can research the guidelines or ask questions, what you need to know, where you'll be more versed into it as it comes before you all for a vote for the variance.
Okay, anybody have any questions on the variance of allowing, moving from 1,200 feet to 1,900 feet? Any questions or concerns that we can take back to the staff so that they'll have it ready, say, the next commission meeting?
Well, then, the reason I wanted to put that on the commission meeting I discussed is, do we want to vary the current ordinance, which is 1,500 feet, and then y'all can vary it up to 1,900 or 1,700 for this one particular, or did y'all want the ordinance changed, whatever that number is, up to 2,000 square feet? Because if y'all, for those that was on the council or may not be on the council when they first done this for the 1,500, the thought process then for the commission was they didn't want full-fledged bars downtown, they wanted small pubs.
Right.
And so, but now, now we've grown into pubs that throw axes and knives and bricks and whatever else. And I got some private jokes we can talk about later on that, but I can just imagine me and West Green throwing an axe on I need some of that cannabis, Roger. But y'all's decision needs to be, do we want to have a new ordinance that changes to a minimum square foot for a pub, or do we just want a variant? At the same time, the town center, we got 2 other grocery stores in the town center. One's being right across the street over here, the Hispanic grocery store here, and there's one more where Douglas Video is. They are interested in selling alcohol, but because they're in the town center, they can't. So if we issue a variant on this, there's gonna be right behind that is another variant on this. None of it's right or wrong. I'm just giving you the heads up what's coming as far as the town center. So, as you know, alcohol complicates everything because of the rules and the perceptions and state laws and our zoning and whatever. So y'all need to kind of make a decision if you wanted staff to rewrite the ordinance, which would postpone them getting their business on their alcohol license, or did y'all just want a variant? and that's the biggest thing on alcohol in the town center.
So, I would start with Mr. Dern, but, my first thing is, you said those two grocery stores. What two grocery stores in the city does not sell alcohol?
The only ones that don't right now is those two.
Okay,
And Mickey's or IGA's or Sinclair's, whatever, the store on the north end of town.
okay,
Because
so
it's
it's
in the
like
gateway.
3 or 4?
3, yes, sir.
Okay,
3.
good deal. Mr. Dern?
You could go, I wanted to hear first.
Okay, does anybody have any comments on that variance?
So, I do.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
All right. Yeah, so to the citizens of Douglas about this Skoll Axe throwing place, I guess whenever the city voted on that, I must not have been present.
I asking you.
I guess I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't present for that.
We didn't vote on that.
Okay. So, what does the pub, Skoll Axe, and the marijuana dispensary have in common?
Nothing.
What,
There's nothing, they're two separate subjects. We've just been receiving the variance request because it's a new thing that's been released in Georgia about the marijuana dispensaries. It
and
comes-
so how many feet would that marijuana dispensary have to be from the schools or whatever?
By state law, it's 1,000 feet.
All right, so our discussion tonight is also to to decide if we want a variance set for that.
No, we're just giving, you don't have to make any decisions.
decision.
I understand, but you all are trying to get an idea as to whether we want to try to set a variance for the,
But it's not that, I think the proper way to be is that we bring we carry the variance for the marijuana dispensary to the zoning board. And the next step is to have it on the agenda for the next meeting to let y'all vote on it. We're just here to give you information because it's such a new topic and not people,
Still want action.
the point of the knowledge, what everybody would think about would be marijuana being the leafy substance that it is, but that's not what it's actually about. So we bring in for information purpose for you to have you an idea or come up with questions that you'd like staff to find out answers for.
okay.
And then bring it, where y'all can make an educated
Okay.
decision.
But the marijuana dispensaries will only be operated by pharmacies?
Correct.
Okay.
So we're looking at the possibility of a person in downtown Douglas being able to go buy THC oil, take that, then go to the pub, get some alcoholic beverages,
Yeah.
and throw some
Had
axe.
to throw it,
And my
That's what we're talking about in essence.
But my understanding with the THC oil or the tinctures or the creams as it comes,
Yeah,
There's
it's gonna
only
be a
17
cream or
yeah, it's
something
only
else.
a cream and such as that you can use it. There's only 17 diagnoses that you can obtain the medical marijuana card.
okay.
But
And right now,
excuse me for a second. At the GMA conference over in Savannah, I had the opportunity to talk to a presenter. They wouldn't let me in because it was for the attorneys. And their point of view is this is supposed to help combat the opioid crisis. This is a mid-level pain reliever. So I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, because when I first started researching this, every pharmacy that we have in the city is basically within 1,000 feet of something. But I think it's only local pharmacies. It's not,
it's your independent pharmacy.
yeah, it's not like Walmart,
Right.
CVS. It's none of those.
Correct.
Because when I first started looking at, I was like, well, what's that? Walgreens. If it's a direct line, there's Macedonia right there. If you go over here to CVS, there's the Mormon church right there. So then I just started riding around. Just about all the pharmacies are within that variance, correct? So the thing is, but correct me if I'm wrong, the city just can't give a blanket variance for all existing. They have to apply individually.
That's correct.
Okay.
And they have to be an independent.
Have to be
Pharmacy.
independent. Sorry about that.
You okay?
And again,
I'm just trying to get
they
clear.
also have a point of sale because there's only a certain amount that you're allowed to have. And there'll be a point-of-sale system that you can't go to one pharmacy and buy your allotment, then go to another pharmacy and buy another allotment. It's all tracked through a centralized computer system, point-of-sale. So, and it's very controlled.
Cool.
Okay,
You good?
I'm good, thank you.
Anyone else? Cause anyone else has any questions?
Mayor.
Mr. Durham?
Mayor, I got a comment.
Yes.
I don't have no problem as far as expanding, the square footage or whatever they need for the, but my biggest concern is, once we issue the license, if we do issue the license, those, I was just sitting here thinking, guy get one beer or whatever they're gonna be drinking up under their belt, and the ice get away, ice will get waiting to happen.
Right.
Throwing ices and, they drinking.
Well, they've got sidewalls.
Yeah, have you been in there?
Is
Have
it-
you been in there? No.
Yeah.
As when you go in there, there's lanes divided up for access, throwing fences in between the lanes.
Okay, that's just a comment.
Okay. Mr. Bailey, any comments?
No.
You?
No comment.
I got a
Mr. Durham?
question. I got a question. So are you talking about buying to the, to see whatever it is, dog? Is it for the sale of the public or for the sale of pharmaceutical?
Pharmaceutical.
It's pharmaceutical.
So
In
if
order
it's
to-
pharmaceutical, you'll be issued that through the doctor, right?
Okay, the process
So-
is that you'll go to the doctor. He would submit an
Correct.
application for you to obtain a Georgia medical marijuana card,
Correct.
which would be issued by the Department of Health.
Correct.
Once you receive that card, you'll go to the pharmacy, present the marijuana card to the pharmacy, and the THC oils or the medical marijuana extracts will be behind the counter just like any other
Right.
prescription, and they'll give you whatever the allotment allows by law for you to obtain.
Right, so that I'm just, cause I think, it's kinda getting mixed up a little bit. Cause I keep hearing some people saying that they go buy this and then go down there and that right there. So it'd be really just for medical use.
There's only
yeah.
17
Yeah.
diagnoses that the
Okay.
doctor can
Right.
have it
Cause
prescribed
it's,
for you.
cause a lot of people use it like for rheumatoid arthritis and like
Correct,
stuff like that.
seizures and stuff.
Seizures, yeah.
And you ain't gonna wanna go throw no action.
Cancer patients use it.
it. So,
A lot of cancer patients.
I got it now.
Okay. So cool. So one of the other things is that, if a pharmacy sells this, then the state comes in and inspects them quite often to make sure that they're following the procedures and they're actually issuing this to, the person that it's supposed to be issued to. Okay? So there's no action on that. Let's see what we got. Mr. City Manager?
Next is item 6, found on page 73, discussed a bipartisan infrastructure law for the airport terminals program grant. And just quickly there, we've got to spend about $800,000 on that airport terminal because of the leaks and stuff on it. There is a grant that happened to come out about the time we was doing the plans on it. So Roger can speak to this, but we're asking Mayor and Council to allow us to apply for this grant to cover for most of the $800,000, be about $39,000 in matching. But that's what the grant's for. Roger, if you want to.
Right. And with the bipartisan infrastructure law which created the airport terminal grant, the city's already making application for the grant, and it's for the airport improvements, such as replacing the roof, replacing existing carpeting, lighting upgrades, air conditioning upgrades, and bathroom remodeling and such. Applying for the grant is $785,000. But $745,750 to be from the FAA, with a local match of $39,250. Staff recommends that the mayor and council go ahead and approve for the application and approve for, if awarded, permission for the mayor to execute any of all documents to receive such grant.
Mr. Taylor leads us
Consent.
through it. Consent. Mr. Bailey? Ms. McNeil?
Consent.
Ms. Mayor Pro Tem?
Consent.
Mr. Gower?
Consent.
Mr. Durham?
Consent.
Next item, Mr. City
All right,
Manager.
next is item 7, found on page 86, discuss the DWSRF bill for the lead service line replacement grant. Roger?
And in September 2023, Douglas applied for the drinking water lead service replacement grant. This program aims to develop a lead and copper service line inventory program, and additionally to help include submitting the lead service line replacement grant to the EPA and EPD. And the city was awarded a $50,000 grant from GFA, and it's the recommendation for the mayor and commission to set the award and allow, set the awarded monies and allow Mayor Paul to execute all necessary documents for the drinking water lead service line replacement grant.
Mr. Taylor, leads through it. Mr. Bailey,
Consent.
Ms. McNeil,
Consent also.
Mayor Pro Tem,
I'm fine with consent, Mayor.
Mr. Gowan,
Consent.
Mr. Dern.
Consent.
Good deal. Next item.
All right, next is item 8, found on page 88, discuss the same thing we previously discussed, the DWLSF 20222038 lead service line grant application for existing lead and copper service line inventory and through an ESG engineering task order. Mike Hudson.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission.
Good evening.
As Mr. Davis stated, we are asking you to basically take the $50,000 grant that Roger just told you about. We're gonna let ESG Engineering do a inventory service of household side. We're already done with our service line side. We're ahead of schedule on this. So we'll see how long that $50,000, but it'll be not to exceed $50,000.
Mr. Bailey,
Consent.
Mr. Taylor,
Consent.
Ms. McNeil,
Consent.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Consent.
Mr. Gowan,
Consent.
Mr. Dern.
Consent.
Next item, Mr. City Manager.
Next is item 9, found on page 93, discuss a donation of surplus outdated fire hose. Casey Wright, Chief.
Good evening.
Good evening.
In the spirit of what the mayor said, we got some old stuff, we got somebody who wants it, we want to give it to them. 49ers and Vikings. We got some outdated fire hose that we no longer use, that's been replaced in service. It's just outdated, it's old cotton jacketed hose we no longer use. And McCray Helena Fire Department would like to have it. Now, we've told them it's outdated hose, but they want it for training purposes. We're trying to give them that hose, if it's okay with you guys.
Mr. Gowan, your department.
I'm fine with it.
Consent.
Consent.
Mr. Dern,
Consent.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Consent.
Ms. McNeil, Mr. Bailey, Mr. Taylor.
Consent.
Thank you very much. Next item.
All right, next item's item 10, found on page 94, discuss the FY '24 portable weather resistant stage bid. Nikki Thompson.
Good
Good evening.
evening.
Tonight we come before you, we did a bid on a portable weather-resistant stage for the Parks and Recreation to use, but it's mostly for the Pocket Park area. We got a bid for $38,427.97, and that will come out of our SPLOST 6 fund.
What was that?
And that is Mr. Taylor. Lead us through it.
Consent.
Mr. Bailey,
Consent.
Ms. McNeil,
Consent.
Mayor Pro Tem.
That was the lowest bid, I think, correctly, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, well, the other one didn't submit one, did they? The other vendors did not submit a bid, I don't think, or did?
No, it was all no bids.
No bids?
Except for that one.
Okay, okay. Consent.
Consent. Mr. Gowan,
Consent.
Mr. Dern.
Consent.
Good deal. Next item, Mr. City Manager.
All right, next item is item 11, found on page 97, discuss the FY '24 demolition and remediation of 10 houses. Bid. Nikki.
We sent out for bid to demolish or remediate 10 houses with our Community Development Department. We had 6 bids received, and it was divided between 2 people with the lowest bid for a total of $127,317.
Good deal. Mr. Taylor, I believe that's your department also.
Consent.
Mr. Bailey,
Consent.
Ms. McNeil,
Consent.
Mayor Pro Tem,
I'm fine with consent, okay.
Mr. Gowan,
Consent.
Mr. Dunn?
Saying,
Good deal. Thank you very much. Mr. City Manager?
We have no, on item 12, we have no general comments. Item 13, city manager updates, just at your desk, and also sent it to you via email about the upcoming Veterans Day on November 10th. Douglas, Coffee County's been nominated or been designated as one of 22 cities in the country to be one of the regional veteran sites. And so it's a special honor this year, and so there's a lot of information there. There's going to be several programs. The interactive museum's going to be at the high school, and there's going to be a parade out around the high school area. And so anyway, so a lot of events there on that Friday, November 10th for the Veterans Day.
Good deal.
That's
All right.
I have something, Mr.
Go
Mayor,
ahead.
before we go into regular meeting. I'd just like to quickly say, and I think I heard the city manager saying to you all when I was walking in about Miss Georgia Henderson's mother. So Miss Georgia Henderson's mother did pass away. I'd just like for everyone to keep Miss Henderson's family in your prayers. And also, I don't know if you all had mentioned it yet about our former city employee, Mr. Michael Stoll, who lost his life, and we buried him this past weekend, to keep his family in our prayers as well. Lastly, I'd like to remind the citizens of Douglas, Georgia, we are currently in a municipal election. I, Olivia Coley Pearson, I am not seeking re-election. I've had health problems and other issues, so I'm not seeking re-election, as I have stated before. Early voting is currently going on. And I have served the citizens of Douglas for 24 years. The end of this year makes 24 years. And I pray that I have done a great job for you all. I know that every meeting has not always been a pleasant meeting where I sit and I go along and I agree. But however, I can honestly say I have voted my conscience so that I can sleep well at night, to know that I have treated people like decent human beings, like I was raised by my parents to treat people. So as Ward 3 goes out to make your selection for the candidate of your choice, I ask you to please vote your conscience for someone who is going to do right, someone who is going to treat people fairly, someone who is going to respect people. That's all I ask. I just like for the legacy that I have left these past 24 years to be a great legacy, one that you all can be proud of, and help elect the commissioner that you can always go to and talk to. So in saying that, I'd just like to thank y'all for allowing me to represent y'all for 24 years. I have truly, truly, truly loved my work, and I love my people, the citizens of Douglas, Georgia. So God bless you. That's what I had to say, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
what we're going to do is we're going to adjourn the work session and go directly into the meeting, okay? So we stand adjourned of the work session. Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to the City of Douglas Mayor and Commission. This will serve as the City of Douglas regular meeting, October 2023. I'm sorry about that. So at this time, the invocation, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, sir. Let us bow our head. Lord, I want to thank you for letting me see 296 days of this year, because it could have been the other way. I want to thank you for the city councilman, the staff of the city of Douglas. I pray that you will lead them, guide them in the right direction for the upbuilding of the city of Douglas. Also, I'd like to pray for our former staff, Mr. Micah and his family. Also, like to pray for Ms. George Henderson and their family, and any other family that is going through any kind of sickness, whatever it might be. We ask you to throw your lovely protection arms around them. When you do these things, Lord, we'll give you the honor. We'll give you the glory. In your Son's name, Jesus, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. As always, we will be led by the Coffee Hide Navy Junior ROTC. And tonight, we have Commander Carrillo with us.
Order. Arms. Left. Face. Forward. March.
You may be seated. Next item on the agenda is approval of the order of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is discuss and accept donation from Community Foundation towards the purchase of a portable storage for the, portable stage. I'm thinking water, military, I'm sorry, for the Pocket Park. I apologize. And who's coming before us?
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
I'm Lindsay Day, and I'm sorry that Georgia isn't here tonight. Send my condolences to her family. I enjoy working with Georgia on all the things that we do together with the Community Foundation. I'm here to present a $9,000 check to go towards the purchase of the new stage at the Pocket Park.
Wow.
All right.
Beautiful.
Getting a picture.
Beautiful. It's Jackie.
There we go, let's get one with it up.
Thank you. Put that in there for her.
Good deal. All right.
We're gonna give you
We have a
his side.
guest?
To believe that.
Okay.
Yes, we have a guest. Christian.
Let's see what they got.
Yes, thank you to FMBCC. They has been sponsoring some of our items that we needed for our education program. I've been working with Dr. Lee Mobley at the Board of Education to connect with the third grade students. We're gonna do a program, Is Trash Really Trash? And it's gonna examine landfill waste reduction and upcycling, recycling, and donation to change the way that the students look at trash and say, okay, can I reuse this instead of throwing it away and clogging the landfills? So FMBCC donated and paid for our activity books that teach us about keeping our community beautiful. And our lovely litter bug mascot here. And then I also, Miss Lindsay Day, she, with the Coffee County Community Foundation, another project that we've been working on is the little libraries. That's gonna be in Eastside Park, Wheeler Park, Emma Ward Park, and Madison Avenue Park. They gave us the funding for the building materials. We're working with the art students at the 9th grade academy and the middle school for the painting on them. And then also working with the chamber so we can do some ribbon cutting to let the community know that they're there and how to access those.
And also, we have some of our local vendors that are making donations of the actual materials that we're gonna use to build the blocks for the kids learn how to plant flowers.
Oh, okay.
Sunbelt Greenhouses, they have been a tremendous help in the beautification part of what we do with florals and coming spring, we're helping the senior citizen fix up their, garden boxes to plant vegetables.
Mr. Roper.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Roper.
Yep, I reached out to the Senior Citizen Center, and they have a new director, and she is super excited, and we have a group of seniors that's wanting to get out there and help us. And in the end result, when we pick, the vegetables, we're giving those back out to the seniors that are disabled or have mobility issues, so that's the end result of that.
Here you come. I see Mr. Roper. Good deal. Good
Yeah.
deal.
And it's teaching our children at the same time.
Right.
Beautiful.
That's wonderful.
So
Okay.
guys, we're gonna do a photo op
Oh.
with our litter bug
Litter
and
bug.
our lovely activity
Okay.
book.
Shouldn't little boy go fall. Oh, bringing the whole crew. You're bringing the crew here. We're gonna put the little bug right here.
Little boy must kiss, you got little boy get it.
All right.
Everybody squeeze in.
Gonna die.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
That's great. Y'all doing a great job. Thank y'all.
Little boy got her hands up.
Okay.
Next on the agenda, the consent agenda items, as always, our city manager will state the items that were put on the consent agenda in the work session for transparency. Mr. City Manager?
Mayor and council, we have 9 items coming over on the consent agenda, and as stated, I'll read them all. First one is item 1, approval of the October 9th, 2023 meeting minutes. Next item is approval to keep Douglas Beautiful program and accept donations from the National Bank of Coffee County. Next is approval of the award for the Douglas Historic Preservation Design Guidelines. Next is approval of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law Airport Terminals Program Grant. Next will be approval of the DWSRF Bill Lead Services Line Replacement Grant. Next item will be approval of the DWLSL 2022038 Lead Service Line Grant Application for existing lead and copper service line inventory, ESG Engineering Task Order. Next will be the approval of the donation to surplus outdated fire hose and donate them. Next will be the approval of the FY '24 portable weather resistant stage bid. And the last item is approval of the FY '24 demolition and remediation of 10 houses. Those are your 9 items.
Okay. At this time, I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is work session items brought forward for discussions and questions. Mr. City Manager?
Mayor and council, we have one item coming over from the work session. It was item 4 from the work session, which is found on page 51. Discuss the appeal by First Baptist Church to demolition 617 East Ward Street. Roger Goddard.
Good evening.
Good evening.
On September the 28th this year, Mr. John Day, representing the First Baptist Church, appeared before the Historical Preservation Committee in reference to obtaining approval to demolish the old school board building that's located at 617 East Water Street. The Historical Preservation Committee denied that request. They appropriately filed their appeal, and they are coming before you tonight to appeal the decision of the Historical Preservation Committee to denying the request of the demolition of the building. And the staff's recommendation is for y'all to either first to approve the demolition of the structure or uphold the decision of the Historic Preservation Commission's decision to deny the, excuse me, deny the request.
Okay. Is there a motion? There's no motion. Well, I make the motion that we demolish the building. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
For the record, I did not vote.
Okay.
The motion is that we allow the demolition, not that we
Correct.
demolish.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. I'd like it restated, Renetta, to say that we're allowing the demolition.
We allow the demolition of the building.
Agree on that? Okay. I'm in favor of that.
Okay.
Abstain?
I oppose, but I want to, and I missed out on the discussion part, so I want to have discussion as to why. So as I stated in the work session, what I support is trying to see if there are some grants available, if there could be given a lesser price that it would take to do some renovations to the building. And I heard Mr. Day said that's the cost of what it will, that's the price of what it would take to do it as they would like to do it by their church. So I heard all of that part, but because I am and how I feel about history and things of historical importance, I don't support at this time without trying to do more research into what else could be done to demolish it. So that's my position. I just wanted to make it clear on the record for the citizens.
Okay?
In discussion too,
Yes, sir.
I would like to also, if Mr. Cunningham, you stand up, if you come to the thing, and I would like for you to give the history of that building, just like you did in the work session. And that's why. And I honor me, that's why I'm opposing, because of the historic preservation, y'all reference, but just let us know about that building and everything that was sold.
The brief history is that the Douglas Hospital was built in 1935 as a result of a community need, and it was built on donated property. The mayor of the community was Lonnie Pope. A number of citizens got together, and it was actually owned and operated by the city of Douglas, this entity, to address the need for a hospital. They quickly ran out of space for the hospital. It outgrew with World War II veterans coming in, bringing wives and children, and the growth of the community. It was replaced in the mid-1950s by a new three-story brick building funded largely by the Hill-Burton Act. From that time forward, it was served for years as a center for the public library, Satilla Library, and subsequently the Board of Education had numerous educational functions from then until just 3 or 4 years ago. It's no longer been useful property for the Board of Education. An intriguing subnote is the builder of that 1935 structure, which many of us think is just extraordinary, was the same McEachern who built the Ashley Slater House just a few blocks away.
Ooh.
Good deal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. And that's why I wanted him to come up, because with someone of my age, I didn't know all their history. And I thank Mr. Cunningham for coming to share that with us, and maybe it could get out through through the website, the city's website, and the Facebook page, to let them know that about the history of that building and everything. So that's all.
All right, so what we have here is Mr. Bailey. He's a member of First Baptist. He is abstained. Commissioner Durham and Mayor Pro Temp opposed. The demolish of the building is Commissioner Taylor, Commissioner McNeil, and Commissioner Gowan, and I also vote to demolish that. So that motion carries. Next thing, staff comments.
No, sir.
At this time, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So staff does have a comment. You didn't tell him. I got you. I know. I understand.
I just wanted to let everybody know on behalf of Michael Stoll's family, they wanted me to let everybody know how much they appreciate everything, not only their family, but his work family. Definitely our utility department for the food.
Yes.
Greater Destiny, Harold's Funeral, and definitely you all. And Charlie for allowing us to take that time off and to celebrate his life. So, department heads, citizens, everybody, I hope I didn't miss anybody, but I just want to thank each and every one of you all for what you've done, and please keep us in your prayers.
Ms. Juanetta, I'd just like to say thanks to you and your department and the Utilities Commission. Everybody did a wonderful job. I really appreciate the love that was shown. And Michael was a great guy. I went, after that happened, I put it on his Facebook page. He can't read it, but I put it there because maybe I should have told him why he was here, how great of an employee he was. But his family was really impressed with what the city of Douglas did, so thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned.